On October 1st, 2019, Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders suffered a heart attack, and there were some concerns about the health of the 78-year-old senator, and this was addressed at the 4th Democratic presidential debate.
You're 78 years old and you just had a heart attack. How do you reassure Democratic voters that you're up to the stress of the presidency?
Let me translate that for you. Senator, how do you reassure Democratic voters that you won't die in office?
Well, let me invite you all to a major rally we're having in Queens, New York, BernieSanders.com. We're going to have a special guest.
And no, Bernie's special guest wasn't his doctor, it was wonderkind Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Last February, I was working as a waitress in downtown Manhattan at a taqueria.
AOC was working at Flat's Fix on East 16th Street. And since she was north of 14th Street, she was technically in Midtown, not downtown. If she was a real New Yorker, she'd know that. Also, according to several news reports, she worked there as a bartender and not a waitress. And that makes a big difference, because to one crowd she'll say,
I was working as a waitress.
But to other crowds,
About last February, I was still bartending in downtown Manhattan. Last February, I was bartending downtown in Union Square in Manhattan. I'm proud to be a bartender. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
FYI, bartenders make all the drinks for the restaurant. And for doing so, they get tipped out by the waitstaff. And that means that being a bartender can be much more lucrative than being a waitress. So when she says waitress, it's supposed to elicit a little more sympathy. I guess what I'm trying to say here is that she's not telling the whole story.
I worked shoulder to shoulder with undocumented workers who often worked harder and hardest for the least amount of money.
Wow, not only is she ratting out her former coworkers for being undocumented, but she's telling everyone that her old bosses hired illegal aliens and then underpaid them. Way to go, narc.
I was on my feet working 12-hour days with no structured breaks. I didn't have health care. I wasn't being paid a living wage.
But remember that this was a 29-year-old with a BA in economics and international relations. And those degrees must come in really handy when slinging margaritas. Think about it. She graduated in 2011, and 4, 5, 6 years later, she's still working in restaurants. If she wanted a living wage and healthcare, maybe she could have gotten a job utilizing her economics or international relations degrees. But then again, working in a restaurant means more flexible hours and allows you to take a month off of work so that you can go to Standing Rock to protest the Dakota Access Pipeline. But it's not her fault, guys. It's her employer's fault for underpaying her. And it's the government's fault for not enacting a higher minimum wage for tipped workers and not giving her free healthcare. But none of that really matters now because she has a slightly better job.
I'm in the United States Congress now.
To the Democratic Party's detriment.
And that's a long, long way from being a sexually harassed waitress
Bartender.
in downtown Manhattan.
Midtown.
I'm proud to say that the only reason that I had any hope in launching a long shot campaign for Congress is because Bernie Sanders proved that you can run a grassroots campaign and win in an America where we almost thought it was impossible.
Except that Bernie didn't exactly win that grassroots campaign, so kind of an odd statement. And with that, the Congresswoman has officially endorsed Bernie Sanders for President of the United States. Which is no surprise considering that she was an organizer for his 2016 campaign and has worked side by side with him on proposed legislation. But most importantly, out of the Democratic presidential candidates, Sanders' values align best with AOC's values. Seems like a no-brainer why she's supporting him, right?
As a woman of color, why back an old white guy? And is this the future of the party?
Let me translate that for you. You're a woman of color, so why aren't you supporting a woman of color? I mean, this old white man is the future of the party?
Yeah, you know, I think I'm actually very excited about this partnership because it shows what we have to do in our country, is that we have to come together across race, across gender, across generation, and across class.
In other words, she is judging Sanders by the content of his character and not his age, gender, or color of skin.
You are supporting the oldest candidate in the race. You're also the youngest woman elected to Congress, and you've spoken out about the importance of supporting other women in elected offices. So what do you say to the voters that say, well, there's two progressives in the race, why not support the female progressive candidate?
Translation, Congresswoman, why are you being a traitor to all women?
What we're gonna have to do in order to win our future back is to come together and transcend race, gender, class.
In other words, the same scripted answer from earlier. Look, she shouldn't even have to defend this, but I wish her answer was a little bit more direct and something like, I'm supporting him based on merit. But then again, that might undermine the whole premise of identity politics in general, so maybe forget that.
If you are the nominee, Senator, would you consider the Congresswoman as your running mate?
And the hits just keep on coming. First of all, AOC just turned 30, and everyone who has taken a civics class knows that you need to be at least 35 years of age to become president. Second, she is only 9 months into her first term as a congresswoman. In the world of politics, she's barely gotten her feet wet. So besides the fact that it makes such a great clickbait title, why would anyone ask such a stupid question?
If the Congresswoman was 5 years older, would she be your running mate?
Oh my God. Oh my God, these f***ing questions. I mean, okay, they could be dumber, I guess. So Senator, who is your favorite superhero? And if you could choose any superpower, which one would you choose?
Look, I don't know.
Fair enough, Senator. Fair enough. We'll be right back.
If the senator is elected, would you work in a Sanders administration, a Sanders White House?
You know, I always wake up every morning.
Yes, you would.
No, she wouldn't. Unless she's offered the role of Secretary of State, and even Bernie isn't that crazy. AOC's gonna stay in Congress and eventually run for the Senate, likely challenging Kirsten Gillibrand for her Senate seat in 2024. And unlike Gillibrand, AOC is one of the most popular Democrats in all of Congress.
Who here is ready for the revolution? I know I sure am.
Oh my God, viva la revolution, y'all!
I'm, you know, and what it also, and so the deal is, sorry, and here's the deal. The deal is, I'm like, I've got so much going on in my mind because I'm just talking to you all this evening. We have to wake up every morning. What do I have to give today? Sometimes the thing you need to do is wake up and say, I'm gonna go to bed, I'm gonna sleep, I'm gonna take care of myself.
I'm sorry, what?
Sometimes the thing you need to do is wake up and say, I'm gonna go to bed.
So wake up and go back to sleep? Got it.
But sometimes you wake up, you can say, I'm gonna knock on 5 doors today. I'm gonna text my cousin.
Why? So you can tell them to go back to sleep?
So we got about a half hour for questions. Probably give us your name, make them short. And if they're really, really hard questions, address them to Alexandria.
Remember everyone, keep your questions short. How about you in the white?
My name is Cassie Jean Wittenbaugh. I'm from Des Moines, Iowa. 37 years old, registered victim of assault. I know a few of you in this room. I'm an advocate in court. I didn't vote for this person who is in office. I find it incredibly interesting how we don't refer to him as his nomenclature president and we just say his name. He's not my president.
Ma'am, do you have a question?
My question, and I won't take up too much of your time because I respect every single one of the people who is in here, who showed up. So thank you to all of you. I just met the gentleman behind me. I don't know who he is. His name is Nathaniel.
Ma'am, your 5 minutes are up. How about you in the Elizabeth Warren shirt?
My name is Fanny Mandelberger. I'm a child of Holocaust survivor parents. So my question is, my mom's gonna be 96, she's pretty amazing, and she voted in the last election. And I'm trying to get the building, I'm an occupational therapist, so I see the suffering and the indignation. You talk about dignity as we age. You know, I'm 63 now, right? So I'm concerned about this for me and my patients. So I have two comments and questions. In my family, and I don't want to say their names, when I said I was coming here to really hear about how we're going to do that Medicare, because on a daily basis on the ground, I see how Medicaid is not getting the same as Medicare. I just found out that my supervisor is part of the Westboro, if you don't know about that, extremist family, and as a Jewish yeah, I'll try to be brief. Jewish, it's hard, New Yorker, you know.
All right, Alexandria and I got to hit the road.
Thanks for watching, sharing, and hitting that like button. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and be sure to check out some of these videos that you may have missed. As always, thanks for tuning in, and I hope to see you all next time.